Thank you so much for agreeing to sit down and have a conversation with me, Senator Hanson.
That's very good. As you know, you've been in my office today. It's just full on.
Yeah,
there's a lot that's happening.
I get very upset when I hear people complain about the pay that a politician gets, because I'm pretty convinced nobody would agree to do it for the money. And if they thought it was enough money to do it, then perhaps why aren't they?
Look, don't get me wrong. I think the money is very good. Right, so we're on around about $200,000 a year. Plus we have officers and staff, and this is, all funded by the taxpayer. And I've got to say, it's not cheap to the taxpayer to run the parliament, and it's quite expensive. And of course, when we have the tiers of government that we have, it's a huge expense to the taxpayer. And I have no doubt, and I can answer you honestly, I don't stop, really. I travel around the country quite extensively, not really the country, but mainly in Queensland. This is where my constituency is. I've actually, by the time we're at Parliament, about 18, well, it's more than that, but we're looking at about 21 weeks of the year in Parliament to do with Parliament plus estimates. Then you're travelling quite extensively, then you're handling your constituents. So it is quite busy. Then again, if you're part of these political parties, they're on the backbench. They sit back. Case in point, dealing in Queensland here, I'm travelling around the state quite extensively, dealing with the cane growers, plus the Singaporean land buy-up of farmers there. Attended meetings with the public. I didn't see any of the other senators, except Matt Canavan, I've got to say, he's the national senator. We have 12 senators in every state. Where was the Labor Party? Where were the Liberal Party? Not to be seen. So really, they can sit back in their offices and do absolutely nothing. They're there as yes people and backing up government policy. It
would be a double workload for you as a party leader.
Oh, extremely. Yeah. Yes, it is. So especially being back into the party, the last, since the very end of 2014, it's so restructuring the party, doing all that as well, plus my parliamentary duties, lead of the party down there with 3 other senators, including myself. We all have completely new staff. So we've all had to pick up this ball and learn from. My only point is, it's a dog's life. You work hard as, and I don't think anybody's being very fair if they think any politician, even if the opposite to our values, did it just for the money. Yeah, David, it was my choice. I've actually been, I lost the seat in 1998. I didn't win it, only on preferences, I might add. I won it on the primary vote. So it has been my choice to stand for elections, to get elected back to the floor of Parliament. And I knew the workload I was going to be under, and I'm pleased with it, all right? I'm enjoying it because I'm making a difference. And I hear all the time when I travel around and I'm out doing my shopping, or it doesn't matter where I am, people say, thank you, keep up the good work. And that's the gratification I get out of it. Yeah, good. Now, I want to talk about your interest in the family court system. I've got obviously a few viewers, and that is an issue that some people have raised with me as something they want to see changed and they feel is fundamentally broken in Australia. Tell me about your ideas and your observations of the system as it is. David, even going back, the first time I was in Parliament, it was the biggest issue that came across our desk. Any parliamentarian's desk, they all know it. And even now, it is the biggest issue. I have people come up to me, grown men just about ready to break down in tears because they're not seeing their kids. The system is unfair. They're separated from their children. The whole system is broken down. Now we have majority of people out there going through a divorce. They have to wait about 3 years, average about 3 years before they get into the court system. So I've actually having discussions with the Attorney General's office, Chief Justices of the Family Law Courts, barristers, solicitors, judges on the bench, who are all saying something has to be done about the system. Politicians, their attitude is it's too hard. Well, that's not good enough. No. When it affects the majority of people, then you've got, parents, then you have the kids of parents that are affected by it. You've got brothers and sisters and grandparents and everyone that's affected by it. Now let's go back, what's the cause? The judicial system is broken down. You have overworked judges that do not have assistants, and I know a lot of judges that actually have to write up their own decisions, type up their own decisions. They don't even have the clerical staff. Wow. This is in New South Wales. Wow. They don't have clerical staff to write up their decisions. So that's weekend. Then you have judges that need more assistance as well as far as registrars. So when you go before the judge and he says, well, look, we're going to set this down for a mentioned date on such and such a time, instead of taking up that judge's precious time when he should be dealing with cases directly, we should have these people going before what is called as registrars.
Okay.
So they can do the work of a judge, and that will alleviate the pressure of the courts.
Okay.
Another big problem that's happened is that a lot of people self-represent themselves because they can't afford to pay for a solicitor. Right. They actually can't get legal aid. So legal aid has also broken down. One time, it wasn't so long ago, legal aid, we were paying about just over $11 per person. Now it's down to just over $7 per person. Wow. So they've cut back, yet it has increased the cases that come before the courts. So a lot more people are representing themselves. Now, because they don't understand the legal proceedings, the judge has to give them direction. That takes up the court's time. Yeah. So that needs to be addressed. And we've been actually advocating for increased legal aid to help people out there, and it will help alleviate the pressures on our courts.
Is there seeing light at the end of the tunnel? Does it look like the government's going to increase the budget for the justice system, legal aid? Or
they've increased the legal aid for some centres out there, not per dollar for people to get legal aid. Okay. So it needs to be, we need an injection of at least $200 million injected into it to actually alleviate the pressure of the court system. We need to appoint more judges, and definitely, if not more judges, more registrars. We need to look at the family law court. And another big thing that's happening in Australia is DVOs or AVOs. Yeah. And it's been abused.
That's right.
You've got a lot of these are from, and I've got to say, it's coming from women who are saying, oh, well, he actually texted me or he phoned me. That's a DVO. So this is all taking up the police's time. You'll find that a lot of the police are spending about 80 to 85% of their time on DVOs. Wow. This is, I am totally opposed to aggression, where a person's life is at risk and these things that are happening. But when you can take a DVO out against someone who's actually made a phone call, can I speak to my son, or who's actually said, you've spent too much money out of the account, that's a DVO. So it's got beyond the joke. This is ridiculous. It needs to all be reined back in, and some common sense. I
personally have had different viewers tell me about DVOs that have been used as a legal strategy upon legal advice. It's been completely fabricated because it's free and easy, doesn't require evidence, just allegations.
That's right.
And it's been used as a strategy to discredit the other party.
That's right. And see what happens, you've got a different court session for your DVO to what your family law court is. So they're two separate. So this is a huge expense on the person out there. Look, the lawyers and everyone, they're rubbing their hands together because they're making billions. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry in our court system out there. Yeah. People want justice and they want it now.
Just briefly, is it basically more funding, or are there any structural policy changes that need to happen in it?
What I'd like to see at point of separation, that you actually have automatically 50-50 custody of the children, joint custody. And then you must sit down and you must mediate from that. And then you virtually say that the husband might say, look, I can't look after kids through the week. How about you have them 5 days a week and I will have them weekends? They must come to some decision with that. We're also looking at another system where it's done on the computers between both parties, and that is actually an agreement between the both of them, and that will take off the pressure off the court system. This is working in Queensland at the moment, very slightly, but we're actually taking that before the Attorney General.
Okay, to make it nationwide.
Yes, we are. Look, we're wanting to take the pressure off the court system. We want a fairer system, so both mums and dads have a right to custody of the children and rearing of those children, as long as that parent is not shown to have a criminal record, on drugs, abusive to the children. So all these things are taken into consideration, because the main fact is that we must look after the children's wellbeing and future. But I think that it's just been, the whole system has been abused. I've heard of psychologists that are actually so left in their views. The reports are used multiple times and at a huge expense to the person paying for it. There are so many problems in our system, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it and get some, justice.
Yeah, good, awesome. It would be good to see the system orientate towards the children's best interests instead of what's most profitable for the lawyers. It
is too, and people have to realise, come to some agreement, work out, okay, your lives, you've decided to go your separate ways. Those kids only ever have one mum and one dad. That's it. No one has a right to them any more than the other parent. You both brought them into the world. Love them. That's what it comes down, is the kids. Because what's happening is the psychological damage that's been done to these kids, and then parents out there, and I know from experience, they try and fill their kids' head with a lot of, wrongful messages about their other parent. Keep it between the both of you. Don't bring the children. Let them be children, and let them love you both, and let them make up their own minds. Yeah, good. In the next segment, let's have a chat about immigration. Okay. Thanks for watching. If you really enjoyed that video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Have a look at this great video next, and check out the website for even more interesting articles and episodes later.